On today's podcast, we'll talk about starting out as a painter, turning problems into opportunities, Atonement, Bohemian Rhapsody, and of course, creating one of the most iconic Steadicam shots ever because the director doesn't have enough time. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Liven up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to the Op Podcast, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I am Dave Comites, and I'm coming to you from across the pond in London, where I have come to teach a couple classes here in Amsterdam. And I am really thankful to be recording today at the CVP Creator Hub on Charlotte Street in London, because it sounds better than the corner shop in Crouch End. The ACO is the Association of Camera Operators, which is an amazing organization over here that focuses solely on the craft of camera operating and highlights the great work that people are doing as camera operators. The ACO helped me get in here by connecting me with these folks. And CVP are specialist suppliers of professional film and television production technology, and they have this amazing Creator Hub here in Charlotte Street, which has an area downstairs that we're in, which is used for testing, and you can check out their gear and test it. It's really incredible, and I can't thank them enough for allowing me to be here. I'm really excited today to be here with an amazing operator, someone who I just met, and I've seen his work forever, Mr. Pete Robertson. A couple of his credits, but by no means all of them. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Bond Number 20, Die Another Day, Edge of Tomorrow, Bohemian Rhapsody, Wonka, Mary Poppins Returns, Hot Fuzz, In Bruges, The Gentleman, Atonement, which he did a really small Steadicam shot that nobody saw on, Anna Karenina, Cyrano. He just recently won the 2026, as a matter of fact, I think last week, the 2026 BSC Operators Award for Mussolini's Son of the Century, 2013 BSC Operator Award for the feature Anna Karenina. In 2013, the SOC gave him the Historic Operators Award for a little shot that he did in Atonement that I'm sure we'll talk about. And he's been nominated for like 6 or 10 other things, rightfully so. He's a really incredible operator, and I'm excited to talk to him. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dave. Well, that's quite an introduction, really, to live up to.
Is it overwhelming to hear all that?
I hope I can live up to the intro.
I suspect so. So tell me, how'd you get into operating? Like, how'd you get into the film industry?
Well, it's quite coincidental, really, that we're sitting here in one of my old stomping grounds in London, where basically I went to college just round the corner. I did a fine art degree.
Okay, what school?
At the Slade School of Fine Art, which is the University College London. So it's just round the corner. Many of my early sort of experiences of life in London were, around this area.
Did you go there for film? I mean, did they
No, it was a painting degree that I did. Yeah. So I left school with a scholarship to go to the Slade. And at school, my subjects, the only things I was good at was art and sport. Which seemed like an odd combination at the time, but subsequently turned out to be, I think, the perfect training for a camera operator.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Was sport being football?
Yeah, I did football, rugby, swimming. I always have been. I grew up on the northeast coast, which is sort of rugged and windy, and I was always sort of, as a kid, in the sea and or messing around by the ocean and what have you. So, and still to this day, I'm a keen windsurfer and spend a lot of time in the ocean.
Nice.
When I'm not working. So everything that I've kind of done has worked out to be almost complementary. I mean, it's quite haphazard, but...
Did you grow up watching movies? Like, were you a movie buff or like?
No, I really grew up. I mean, I was really interested in art from an early age. You know, looking at pictures. I mean, it wasn't high art; it was cartoons, which I still do to this day. As an illustrator, I've done some stuff for the Mark Milsom Foundation over here, which has a number of my cartoons as well.
So if the camera operator thing doesn't work out, you have a backup.
Well, hopefully, if people like the cartoons, of course, yes, yeah. But I just consider it doodling and a form of relaxation, really, more than anything else, which I think is important. Really,
but there's something interesting to me about that because, like, you're essentially drawing a frame and drawing a even though you may not have thought about it, drawing a close-up, drawing a wide shot, whatever. And I'm sure there's a lot that you pull from that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I look back now, and this is all really in hindsight, because as a young person, I don't think I designed this sort of career route. But it's the way it's worked out is I think I've always naturally sort of found an affinity with ways of seeing and looking, and it's what got me into cameras eventually when I was at college. But I think the painting sort of degree that I did, it told me or taught me basically that looking is not seeing. And looking, you can look at something without seeing anything. If that makes sense.
Can you expound on that more?
Yeah, if you look at a painting, I wouldn't necessarily see everything that was going on inside it. So doing that kind of degree and talking to the tutors and also being let loose on London and being every day being able to go to all the great galleries that are here in London, I started to be able to see things in painting. So I saw composition, I saw perspective, I saw a meaning of figures. If you put a figure in a frame in the picture space, you put it in a certain area, it has a meaning. So somebody is diminished in a frame and someone is enlarged. You give power to one figure over another. So all those kind of things I learned, really. And that's what I mean about you can look at something. I sometimes watch people going around the galleries and there's crowds of people and they'll walk past a masterpiece and they'll give it 2 seconds. And you go, well, they're not seeing anything there. They're just looking.
They're just looking. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
That makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. And it's so much more than what I thought it might be. That's fantastic. So as an operator, you're thinking in that mode as you're setting up frames.
I think so, definitely, yes. I mean, obviously that you're working as an operator, you're working in collaboration. You're not working alone and creating your own, compositions. You're working to the direction of the director and the DOP. But hopefully, ideally, it's a collaboration. So that's what you can bring, I think, to the table when you're a camera operator.
Do you think in terms of? Do you think about art, the compositions in classic pieces of art often when you're composing frames, or do you think it's just sort of in the back of your mind? I mean, is that?
I think it's just
like a building block.
It's a building block. It's in the back of the mind. But there's certain, obviously, not just paintings, but all sorts of visual arts. Photography is very important. Yeah. And you can go and you can look at a photography exhibition that's very, say, cinematic.
Yep.
The way that people are composed in the frame. I can't think of any direct examples at the minute.
But I think it all seeps in. I was just yesterday, do you know Sean Bobbitt?
Yeah, very well.
Sean is a good friend of mine. We've worked together, not enough because there couldn't be enough, but and we went to the Tate Modern yesterday, which I've never been to. And as we were walking around, we were talking about the fact that neither of us go to museums anywhere near the amount that we should, just because, good or bad or whatever, it just makes you start to think about composition and why the artist did something and whatever.
Yeah.
It's really quite amazing. And I tell young people who ask me, I was just teaching in Amsterdam the other day, and someone said, "Yeah, you know what you're talking about is great," and because I give a hands-on thing about about operating and framing and whatnot, and they said, "But I'm not on set all the time, right? So how do I?" And I said, "Look, go down to the Rijksmuseum and look at classic paintings, and just ask yourself." Yeah. Why did they put Jesus there, and why is the light there, and what if it was wider? What if it was tighter?
Exactly, and also what's fascinating in a lot of paintings is things like eye lines. Yeah. You see subjects and you kind of go, why is he looking or she looking off to the left or the right? What's out there? What they're looking at? That's just not a haphazard thing. That has deep, there's an artist that spent maybe years putting that picture together. Yeah. So it's very considered. So everything in the frame has that meaning. So if you look at, I don't know, saw recently the Lucian Freud exhibition. No. It's at the Portrait Gallery, and he has some fascinating in his paintings. They're not just paintings of people, in natural positions or nudes or, sort of groups of people or showing relationships or whatever. But they're also the eye lines. They look out, the people either look out at you directly as the viewer, which is, I guess, would be looking at camera. Which
is almost alarming sometimes.
It's alarming,
right?
So they stare with that kind of, they're looking at you. Or they're looking off, they're looking down, they're looking around, and you say, well, where are they looking? Maybe they're not looking anywhere. Yeah. Maybe they're caught in a moment of shyness or not wanting to be observed or whatever. So all of those sort of very simple things, you're right. You can go offset, not working. You don't have a camera in your hands. You can go and look at these things, and that will inform your work when you go back on set.
Well, and also, I don't know if you find this sometimes, but sometimes when I'm searching for a position for the camera or Steadicam wise, like, where you go and you land a shot or whatever, there's just a place where it wants to go. Yeah. And you put it, you sort of boom up, boom down, come left, come right, and then you just sort of go, that's it. And I can't always, sometimes I can define what it is. Like I see the tree in the background, whatever. But sometimes I think, at least for me, I don't know if you have this, but I don't know, but it just feels right. And it feels like it's telling the story. And I always think that that's all that stuff that's built up over the years of looking at paintings and looking at great films and whatever, where it's like, this has some sort of connection to that. So it feels correct almost, if that's the right word.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. It's the sort of building blocks of your work, really, that you need to sort of cement together so that when you do, because as an operator, often your work is in the moment. We do all the pre-planning, we do all of the equipment playing, we do all of that. But ultimately what it comes down to is when they say turn over, is your focus on what you're shooting and where the camera should be and at what time it should be at certain places, all the timing. And you don't think consciously at that moment. You're just sort of bringing all of your experience to bear on that moment. And it's a way that you can develop your trade outside the
all
film
these soft skills that you can do like that.
Absolutely.
It's funny because you said the word turnover, and my heart sort of warms when you say that, and I miss that.
It's a bit old school.
Yeah, but I miss that because it used to be like there was that thing of like, all right, roll sound, and everybody got kind of quiet, and then you'd literally turn over, you'd turn it on, and the buzz, you feel it next to your ear, and it was just such a great something important is happening, and I miss that.
Yeah,
right? It's just not. It's not the same. Do you sometimes go back and do film occasionally?
Well, we've just recently finished a project that was partly on film, partly on digital.
It's exciting, right?
And it has a kind of It has a poignancy when they say turnover, because everyone is focusing at
there's
on
like
the
a
same
gravitas
thing.
that
You know,
something important is happening that's lost with digital, unfortunately.
And also for an operator, I love looking down an eyepiece.
Yeah.
And with film, you kind of almost have to.
But even I find if I'm looking at an eyepiece with digital, sure, I'm looking at an eyepiece and it closes out the world and all those great things, but I'm not looking through the lens. I'm still just looking at another video image, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's something different there, right?
No, you exactly. You're experiencing what the camera, what the film, that image that's going down on the film through the lens.
Exactly. There's no question.
And you're seeing all of the aspects of that, like depth of field, focus.
I miss that so much.
You know, and also there's that texture of the ground glass and everything. It just has a more, I don't know, quality feel to it. It feels like you're making a proper movie.
I wish everybody listening at some point gets to do some film just to experience it, even though I know it's not the norm anymore. But it's a different thing.
Sure.
But I jumped way ahead. So you were an artist. You were in art school as a painter. And
I wouldn't say I was an artist, because I kind of wasn't great at art school, I have to say, which is kind of what led me on to...
Maybe that's fortuitous.
Well, yeah, possibly. I had to really work out pretty quickly that I needed to make some kind of commercial sort of return from what I'd learned at art school, because there was no way was I going to make money out of art, and I didn't particularly want to be a struggling artist in a garret somewhere. So, I thought, well, what's the best way to make money out of it? And really, fortunately, we had a tutor at the time. This was a time where people were experimenting with photography, mixed media, video. Okay. There was performance art, all sorts of...
What year is this?
This is like, I'm not sure if I want to tell you.
Oh, okay.
No, it was, late 70s.
Late 70s, okay.
Yeah. And
so video was just becoming a thing in the art world, and people were...
Yeah, it was videotape.
Yeah, those old stuff where, like, you look at it now and the light is streaking as they pan across.
Yeah, it's got all these... It looks really grungy when you look at it now.
Yep.
We had a tutor that used a Clockwork Bolex in...
like the old wind-up, you mean?
The wind-up Clockwork Bolex. And he used it in performance art that he had. And he brought it into college one day and said, right, we'll get some film and we'll start experimenting with what you can do with it.
This was the 16 millimeter film.
16 millimeter black and white.
Black and white.
Yeah, and he showed us basically how to develop it ourselves. We built a dark room.
Oh my gosh.
Wound it onto plastic spools, put it into a bath, processed it, and then we contact printed it. So we got a positive out of the negative.
Wow.
And obviously all the results were really varied. Some of them didn't come out at all. But no matter what you did, it was always considered interesting. And it was at a time when also there was a movement in art, which is called the film materialists, where they used to project just raw footage, negatives reversed upside down, contact printer. They were just experimenting, messing around with film. So it had that kind of really sort of, just say, it was tactile. Film, it was tactile. It was like you could feel it going through. When you were winding it onto the spool, you had to feel to get the sprockets into the grooves of the spool when you were processing. So and the smell of the chemicals in the dark room and all of that was all part of, it was like an experience. So it just took me over, really. And we started using the Clockwork Bolex. We shot all sorts of stuff that I would be embarrassed to show now.
But this was, but again, this was all sort of like experimental art. This wasn't filmmaking.
No, it wasn't. Exactly. It was completely experimental.
Yeah.
but it just gave me an interest in photography as well from that day.
Oh, I would also think that must have been great because not that there are rules necessarily, but there are no rules. It's just like, let's try this, let's try that.
Absolutely. And also the results came from complete mistakes that you were making. People who, would fog the film because somebody walked into the dark room, which was just a black curtain that we had, and it flashed the film. And so that would then be included in the students' presentation. Yeah, you'd have people sitting in the audience stroking their chins. That's an interesting.
I wonder
effect.
what that
How
means.
Did you get that? Yeah.
But that's art, right?
Yeah,
it's everything's on purpose, even if it's by
yeah. I mean, I remember we did a student project where we went up to Scotland. And we shot some fishermen off the back of a fishing boat, and we only had 100 foot. We were given a 100-foot film each to use, and myself and another student went and photographed these fishermen throwing, catching fish with a whole flock of seagulls sort of following the boat. And we just sort of filmed this, but we got seawater onto the lens. That created a kind of... the image was given a quality messed up, exactly. And then when we processed it, I seem to remember the wrong way round when we contact printed it. And eventually it was kind of, when we projected it, all of these mistakes that we'd made, unawares, we then had to exhibit it in front of our tutors, which we did, and we made it into a loop, so it looped all the way, so it was this rhythmic pattern of everything. It became so completely abstract by pure chance. Yeah. But it won an award at the college for that year, and we felt like the biggest frauds out, for doing it.
But the thing is, I can understand, and I would probably have the same feeling, but you're not, right? Because you didn't intend to do all that, but then you said, well, this isn't working. So how do we make this into something that does work and is interesting? And I think that's actually what as operators and filmmakers you do so often, where you go, okay, we wanted to do this, you can't do this. Yeah. What can we do that tells the story?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that's most of my day sometimes, because I never have it quite the way I want it or whatever. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of making the most of your mistakes.
It is. It is, absolutely.
And knowing how to turn a mistake into an asset. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a great saying that I always think of, which is success is going from one failure to another with the same amount of enthusiasm. And I think that's Winston Churchill's words, not mine.
Okay. But it's someone smarter than us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the constant making good of your mistakes is gets you places more than being afraid to make mistakes or to be a failure in something, is to take it on. And
I'll tell you, along those lines, I just finished a very small budget feature that was sort of a passion project for someone, and it's about Leonardo da Vinci, and it takes place mostly in the one huge hall where he painted The Last Supper, so it's almost all on one set. Mm-hmm. And when we started it out, and I'm making these numbers up, but we had, almost more than 2/3 of the time we were supposed to have a techno crane. And then by the time that we got into production, we had 2 days of a techno crane, and the rest was a 23-foot jib and a run. And so my dolly grip, Mark Catania, who's just, he's unbelievable. We talked about it, and I said, okay, so let's pretend like we have a techno crane, and we'll say, what would we do? Mm-hmm. And then let's look at it and say, okay, like, what's the one line that we can keep, with the track and booming up and down? What's the one line that we can do straight? And then let's make everything else a curve, because we'll just embrace that and lean into it. Mm-hmm. And I was going to say we did, but he did some of the most amazing stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think it's better than it would have been if we had a techno crane, because we couldn't do exactly what we wanted, so we had to make it into something. Mm-hmm. And by the end of it, both of us talked about it, and I said, I think we're better for having had to do this. You know, like sometimes when your arms are tied behind your backs and it's not working and you have to make it into something, you come up with something better than what it was.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. And I think that that's what kind of keeps you on your toes as an operator. What's make it right? Interesting? Yeah, exactly. Fun.
It is.
It should be. That's what it should be. It should be fun, because I think once I always think that, you know, once you've made all your decisions and you've set things up, and this is certainly the case with something like Steadicam, where you're kind of multitasking all the time. Your mind is completely occupied with not just the sort of aesthetics of a shot, but also the physicality of it and how you get into these positions. It's like once it's all done, you just relax and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And it is a ride, you know, as an operator, because you're the person in the front row of the audience. You're seeing it for the first time, and you're the one that's affecting that what the audience is seeing. So it's exciting.
So where did you make the transition into sort of narrative film? How did that happen?
Well, that was a combination of just, I guess, chance events, really, when you look back on it. I mean, I knew I kind of wanted to work in generally the film industry, and I knew that I was good at the loading film and working with film cameras.
Just from the school itself?
From the school, and also my own, and talking to photographers, and, you know, I kind of just approached a lot of companies I knew that were shooting documentary film. I hired myself out on any production that would have me at any whatever level, whether I was paid or not. Lots of student shoots and stuff like that. At the time, we were working with Arton's Super 16 Arton.
Oh, is that the one with the magnet? The magnet mag?
Yes.
That was such a beautiful camera. Yeah, it was a great handheld camera too.
Yeah, I mean the 35mm version. Used it on the Steadicam a lot, and I still say for a film camera, you know, it was the best.
Even though it was side to side.
But
it was so sleek.
It was sleek, and the 35mm was kind of lighter and smaller in a sense than a lot of fully built digital cameras now.
Absolutely.
And it flew really well on a Steadicam. Although at that stage I wasn't doing Steadicam, that came later. I was just simply assisting and loading mags and trying to get onto any kind of shoots I possibly could. I think my first sort of commercial jobs were mainly on documentary, freelance documentary stuff. Some in the art world where we were doing dance. They were filming dance routines. I did some news gathering in Northern Ireland at the time of the hunger strikes, which was a big moment in Irish history and a terrifying experience to be in as a young Brit, being in Northern Ireland. But I worked with a couple of crews that news gathering, not UK, but there was a French crew I worked with a couple of times, and I was basically just assisting camera at that point. But I knew through that documentary sort of experience that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the person carrying and framing the camera. And so, that's where I went with that. Eventually, people trusted me to shoot stuff. And it was just that progression. And then I guess it was really looking at that point, realizing that I wanted to be in the area of dramatic camera work, film drama rather than documentary. And that kind of coincided with me looking at films and the new movement of cameras with Steadicam. At that time, I didn't even know it was a Steadicam.
Because there was only like a handful of them over here at first. There were
Absolutely.
1 or 2 people. And wasn't there one guy who rented a bunch out or something?
Yeah, well, that was one other sort of moment of serendipity, if you like, for my career was that having done a Steadicam course over here.
Did Garrett teach the course?
No, that was a National Film and Television School one, and it was with Nigel Curtin and Ted Churchill.
Oh, you learned from Ted Churchill.
Yeah, and I was really lucky to actually then be asked a couple of years later by Ted to go and do a Tiffin course as an instructor.
Oh, wow.
So I got to work alongside Ted, who
to have his pipe in the entire
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was the Ted show,
It was
really.
the Ted show. Well, you've heard the thing where Garrett has said Garrett invented the Steadicam and Ted invented the Steadicam operator.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the whole attitude that you took is, Ted was the inspiration.
Yeah, he was a classic.
Yeah, and I mean, I still have a copy of his Steadicam operator's manual of style.
Manual of style.
Yeah, and that's still a Bible. Really, it's like when
it's a rarity too.
Yeah. No, it's.
He was an interesting guy. I met him once, but the stories are endless.
Well, I've actually brought a T-shirt along from Ted Churchill.
No way.
Yeah, I brought it along to show you.
I absolutely want to see it. What I'll do is I'll take a picture of it afterwards and put it on the thing. That's great because he had those great T-shirts and the great ads and whatever.
That's right. That's a classic. I think the Ted Churchill Humor Group was his.
I've heard about
motto.
This.
Yeah. Or was the kind of his company that he had that was manufacturing these T-shirts.
Yeah, well, before that was an easy thing to do.
I mean, I had a whole set, but eventually, over the years, they've got given away, really. But, but I've got one left.
Can I just see what it is now, and I'll explain to people, and then I'll put a picture of it on there. I'm excited to see it.
It's in pristine condition because I've always kept it just as a souvenir, really.
Oh, I think I've seen this T-shirt. It's with the vest on the front. Oh, that's
vest
great.
On the front.
What's on the back? Oh, no dolly.
No dolly.
Like a panther dolly, I guess?
And that's his Churchill Humor Group logo on the side.
Oh my gosh! I'm taking a picture. Here, let me take a picture.
And the logo is brilliant on it.
Let me take a picture of you holding the whole thing right now, just so I have it. That's fantastic.
I think that was the kind of...
That's a classic right there.
Yeah. No, it's... as I say, I keep it as a souvenir. I don't wear it out.
Yeah, understood. So you were one of the first group of people. Now you were learning on you were learning on a Model 1 or Model 2 or what was
it? Was Mark 3.
It was the 3 by
then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've got a picture which I'll give to you. I'll send to you for the thing of me with the Mark III.
That's so great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and but after doing the course, to go back to that moment of serendipity was that a chance meeting with Pete Cavaciuti.
Phenomenal.
We met one day and discovered that we both did exactly the same thing, art college. In fact, we had a tutor that was common to both of us. He was actually my year tutor, and he was a visiting tutor at Pete's Art College. Yeah. And he was one of the tutors using the 16mm film in his performances. So we had that in common. And we had in common that we were both at the beginnings of our Steadicam journey, we found out. Yeah. Pete was further along than I was, and so Pete very kindly sort of helped me develop along the journey to sort of catch up in a way. Mm-hmm. And he introduced me to a rental company at the time, Tattooist International, which was basically renting art-ons. It was an art-on house. And they thought that the combination of the art-on and the Steadicam were perfect partners. So we ended up actually running a rental outfit from Tattooist International. We started off with one rig, which we shared, Pete and I would do a job and then deliver back to him 2 a.m, 3 a.m, or whatever.
Those were the days.
And he would go, and eventually we were getting so much work that we had to get another rig, so we each had one. And then in came tattooers, because there were a lot of people at that time saying, how does it work? Show me, it sounds amazing. And so we were, pretty much at the beginnings of the Steadicam movement here in the UK.
That's amazing. And were you conventional operating then as well, or were you just going out and doing Steadicam?
I was still doing all sorts of doco stuff.
As an operator?
As an operator, yeah. I mean, I always kind of say that if I hadn't done documentary, and if I hadn't sort of had a physical connection with the camera and being able to move and feel confident with that movement and making compositional decisions with the camera, what have you, then Steadicam would have been 10 times harder.
Is the documentary aspect because you don't have any time to plan and it's happening and you just have to make decisions? Is that...
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, apart from doing setups like interviews, but capturing moments, that can be cut as well, because that's the other thing is... Doing documentary really taught me about how you edit stuff together, what's useful and what isn't useful.
Are you nowadays? Are you still thinking about the edit as you shoot?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, in fact, if I can get any feedback at all from an editor about the material that we're providing, that's all part and parcel of the decision making, I think.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is after, hopefully after a couple of days, if I hear back from the editor that they love what we're giving them and we're giving them so much stuff or whatever, it always makes me feel good, because it makes you go, okay, so I'm in the right frame of mind of how you're cutting this. Not that we make all the decisions, but there's that thing where you go back and go, do you think we need this, or are we missing that? Or,
sure, yeah. Also, little things that they, about movement, the speed of movement, or something. It'll say maybe, that scene that you gave us, well, you shot on a wide lens and then you went onto a tighter lens. They don't quite cut because the speed of your movement, you haven't kind of adjusted for the lens size, stuff like that. All sorts of little beats and moments. And also it works vice versa as well, because sometimes an editor will say, oh, we haven't got this or that, or I'm missing... a close-up, and you've got to remember that they're kind of looking on a smaller monitor.
Yep.
Or what they're looking on isn't the perfect quality of image reproduction that you're hoping for. And like as an operator, I think we're pretty much, all of us may have like photographic memories almost.
I wish I did.
You can kind of remember the shots that you've done. I think pretty much that you go, no, I'm sure we shot that. And you go back and you look at it and you say, yeah, look at that moment there. Yep. That's, okay, we
it's
we missed that.
I know I saw that somewhere. Yeah. I can't tell you where, and then you have to look for it.
So I think that kind of relationship with an editor, if you can.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be easier than it is now.
Which is ironic, because it should be easier now with phones and everything.
Absolutely.
But
again,
layers.
I have to say that is another example of so many monitors on set, so many phones, iPads, what have you, and how many people are looking and not seeing.
I don't know if you've experienced this, but I have this thing where I'll be look. I would assume that you're the same way, as I sort of do things the way that I always did it. I mean, it's changed slightly, but I'll look at an actor and there'll be a hair out of place, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I'm sure somebody sees that.
Yeah.
But then I think, nope, I can't do it. So hey, can we get Karen from Hair over here to take a look? And then invariably the answer will be one of two things, like yeah I knew. Or, oh, thank you for letting me know. And it's like, you always got to do it, but sometimes you get that, we know. And I'm thinking like, I just want to make sure. I'm not saying whatever, but there is that tendency to sometimes go, well, everybody sees that. And then, you finish the shot and you go, we got to go again, right? And they're like, why? And they're like, because the elephant walked through the background. And like, it did? And, someone's on their phone getting Amazon or whatever they're doing. So you just can't. There's 100 monitors. It's almost like back when there were no monitors.
Yeah.
You were more on top of it because you knew nobody saw it or something. I don't know. It's weird, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think that all the time. You can't assume, even though, as you say, all the monitors on set, everyone's looking at something different, I guess.
Yeah, or maybe they're not looking at it and you're assuming they are, but you can't assume anymore.
I think that's the thing as the operator. I mean, you're the kind of gatekeeper of everybody's work, and you can set something up in terms of movement composition, and you've got all of your ducks in a row, and you've got them, and that's great. But then there might be something there that you've got to do a double check, almost like a nervous, as I say, around the frame, and just sort of look at other aspects. You say, does the wet down cover the whole frame? That's a class. The back corner. There's the wet down's missing the back corner of the frame. So then you got to kind of look at that. And you're probably the only person, other than maybe the DOP, who is as observant as the operator. You would hope, but even still, you have to kind of helps the DOP sometimes because they've got so much on their plate with other things.
They've got the production designer on the phone and someone else texting them about this or with that.
Yeah.
And I think some of it's I honestly, I don't mind saying it, some of it's self-serving because I don't want to get caught with my pants down because I was worried we were going to pan over here and I didn't say anything and we panned over there and the wet down wasn't there or whatever. So you're constantly covering yourself, right?
But I think you do have to risk that sort of making a pain of yourself with a department.
It's a fine line, right? And I was explaining to some film students the other day. I said, look, it's nothing against them, but the gaffer always wants to bring the lights in because the gaffer is worried about the best lighting, right? But you have to push them back out, but still help them, make sure they get what they want. And everybody's looking at the piece of the pie, and I think we have to look at the entire pie because we're the ones left holding the ball if something falls through the cracks. So it's like the final. And do you find it? Is it nerve-wracking or is it? I mean.
It is nerve-wracking at times. Certainly, if the shot you're doing is expensive, and there's only one,
or the time's running out, you only have one take.
The time's running out, you got one take. It's maybe a stunt, so there's a huge reset time. Yep. So it does sort of focus the mind a little bit. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of fear because it does focus the mind and sharpen you up.
Yeah.
That's what makes it exciting.
How long have you been doing Steadicam at this point? How long have you been operating at this point?
Right now,
want to say that.
Let's see, 35 years.
Okay, I'm right there about with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still get nervous when you start a job? When you get a job?
When I start a job,
or do you? Maybe you never did.
No, I definitely. I mean, there's positive nerves and then there's negative nerves.
What's the difference?
I find that nervous to start with. Once I get into the job, then the nerves disappear. And I think that it's good at the beginning, to get the, to get the butterflies. Is
it the same kind of nerves that it was because when you first start out, you're like, oh, I hope my equipment works, and I hope, but which I'm assuming maybe is not that anymore. Is it a different type of nerves?
Well, equipment generally, certainly Steadicam's is a lot more reliable.
I try to explain this to people, like the idea that you pull it out of the box and it works, you have no idea how great that is. I mean, you always basically, I don't know about you, but in the States, it was like first thing you did was you pulled out the soldering iron and you heated it up and left it there. And then you took your Steadicam out.
Yeah, you got the hairdryer going.
Yeah, the hairdryer going. It was ridiculous.
And,
it was crazy.
You learned how to say a few Buddhist prayers.
Yeah. We were just at I didn't run into you, but we were both at the BSC the other day and looking at this equipment is unbelievable. It's ridiculous.
At risk of being like a boring old fart, as they say, they don't know they've got it so good.
They have no idea. But I was talking to one of the guys about it, and I said, it's sort of like when we started, they handed us this wooden square, and the changes were were such that they were like chiseling stuff off each time and making it better, like, and it was just game-changing stuff to where it became round. And now they're just sort of sanding the edges. There's nothing that just makes or breaks anybody, but it's just these little incremental things now, as opposed to like the fact that everything works.
Yeah, it works.
That.
But the good thing about it is that it does leave a lot of, for an operator, and certainly with some like Steadicam, it just leaves a much bigger part of your brain for the important stuff. So all the technical anxieties that you have, is this going to work, or is that going to work, or this is jammed, or I need the screws dropped out, this now it's not going to work, all these concerns that you had, and also all the way down to, is it level, am I keeping it level? Although I have to say, I was having a conversation at the show again with somebody who was asking me, like, what do you think of this stabilization device and that stabilization device and what have you, and I say, great, they're all different tools for different parts of the job, but I don't know anybody that got fired for being off level. I've known them be fired because they're a bad operator or a bad Steadicam operator, but if you're good, we never got fired for being off level. That's the kind of, but then again, there's more obsessing with stabilization now.
Well, nowadays, if anything's off level, people go, "Why is that? 1 degree off?" Because they're so. That's a whole nother.
But there's an interesting story about stabilization without being too technical about it. I mean, I remember doing Hot Fuzz, and we were doing a car chase in Hot Fuzz, and we had the latest Libra mount on the back of a tracking vehicle.
Okay.
And it was literally its first outing. I can't remember which model Libra it was, but
so the electronics were still new. And,
but we had a 180mm lens tracking with a police car and shooting, and our tracking vehicle was on pretty rough terrain. And anyway, I can remember thinking, this is amazing. Like, we're getting great stuff.
Yeah.
And just towards the end of one take, the whole thing, with it being new, and the head tech was like a little not so au fait with the new software, and it sort of messed up and started bouncing around all over the place. And I remember Edgar, the director, going, "What did you just do there? That's great."
He loved it.
So they then subsequently told me that in post they destabilized all the rest of the cartridge to match a bit of that.
You never know.
So you have to ask, why are you using stabilization? What does it give us?
I was on something recently where the director of photography came in and he said, "Turn the stabilization off."
Yeah.
I said, "Really?" And he said, "Look, I know you know how to do what you're doing, but I just want that little life to it. I don't want it to be so perfect for the shot." Okay, great. I was happy, but I don't want to go past. I asked you about what the difference is in. So what's the nerves now?
Nerves now is
at the beginning of a show. What is it? It's
I think it's those sort of excitement nerves. They're not the nerves of I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
But they're excitement, and also it's like. I think after a certain stage, you're confident that you're going to be able to deliver your stuff as an operator, but you're not sure whether you're going to get on with the director, get on with the DO. I mean, hopefully you've worked with the DOP before. If you haven't, if everybody's new on set, then you have to develop new relationships.
Sure.
And hopefully, if you're in a situation, the ideal situation for me is, your DOP and your director know each other. They get on really well, almost on like a friendship level.
Yep.
And your job and they also have producers that back them as well. Then your job's pretty easy as an operator.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can just find a way of supporting that kind of harmony that they have. But then other situations, your nerves might come in if you go, well, I don't know this director, I don't know this DOP, and I've heard things about this or them or the way they work, or, maybe an actor that is on, and you kind of go, I've heard they're tricky or whatever.
What do you do when you walk into a situation with a new actor you've worked with and you've heard this person is a little prickly, you've heard stories?
Yeah, I kind of try and get eye contact as soon as I can and introduce myself. And then that's my job done in a way. And they can take me or leave me at that point. But you have to sort of acknowledge that you're going to be working together for a time, and just show that you haven't got fangs and you're a reasonable sort of person and you're there to help them in a way.
And not asking any names, but I'm guessing that you've been doing this long enough that you've run into the type of actor who just was not someone who's a collaborator with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've never met one, fortunately, that is as bad as people say they are.
Okay, I think sometimes those things get a little blown out of proportion.
Yeah, warning ahead, you know, that, they're terrible. Well, they can be unfriendly in the sense that they kind of don't acknowledge you all the time. But that, to me, that's fine. I mean, I've not really experienced anything. I've seen bad behavior, but nothing personal to the operator. I think generally we get quite a lot of respect from actors.
Generally we do. I think even if they're I'm not saying anything against actors. They're good people and bad people who are camera operators and steady camera operators. There are all sorts of people. But I think most of them realize that they need us on their side on some level, and don't want to. But I ask because people do run, especially when you're younger. You'll run into people who are prickly, and it's hard to figure out. Do you have? I
think actors, they smell fear.
They're in tune with emotions. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think if you are nervous, and you show those nerves, there's a sort of a momentum that gathers up. They
with
think,
some people, there could be, absolutely.
And also there may be an age difference. I mean, I find as I've got older that I'm kind of much older than most of the actors.
I'm getting there too.
So there's a natural sort of way things happen in general.
Do you have a way of sort of, when you meet a new actor for the first time, assessing sort of what they might need from you, or how you can be of help, or what that relationship should be like? It's
pretty quick. Pretty soon you realize if they're a good technical actor, I think.
Just by watching? You just
by
observe?
Watching. Yeah. I've had actors come up to me even before I've made an approach to introduce myself. They've come and introduced themselves and have said, anything you want me to do.
So you actually ask them, or let them know, I'm here for you.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's
valuable.
And I think you do put yourself on the line there, because they might not want your help. They may kind of object to being approached without being introduced. And sometimes that is, if you gauge it on set, that a new actor may avoid your gaze, and you can kind of sense that you don't know whether it's coming from shyness or whether they just don't engage with crew members or what have you. So you think, okay, I need to go through the DOP or through the AD, first AD, or through the director even, as like, could you introduce me? So that's another way round of, of getting... I guess an acceptance by an actor.
No, that's smart. That's very smart. I want to ask you about some specific movies. I can't have you on here and not talk about Atonement. Is Atonement the only thing? Are you tired of talking about Atonement?
Well, I mean, Atonement now, the shot has its own life. It's strange.
Well,
it has its own mythology.
And there's so much wonderful stuff in that movie. But of course, that shot on the beach, it's just, it's epic. I mean, what is it, 5.5 minutes long or something?
It's 5 minutes.
Yeah, which nowadays, of course, people go 5 minutes. It's not as big as some of these things or whatever. But it's, what was it, 1,300 extras I read?
1,300. And extras, and the story goes behind that was that Joe Wright, the director, wanted obviously longer to shoot that sequence,
more time to shoot,
more time, and also initially it wasn't a kind of conceived as a wanna. But I think he was told, well, and also he didn't want to shoot with just 50 extras and make it look like a TV representation of,
it has scale.
The beach. Yeah. So he said, I want it to be scale. So I think that what happened was the production said, well, you can have 1,300 extras, but you've only got them for 2 days.
So then it suddenly had to do this in two days.
Yeah, there's a combination, as always in filmmaking, about the practical and the aesthetic and the
art of it.
The art, so that combined. But of course, it worked perfectly well because it was a dreamlike sequence, really. It was a nightmare that the main character, Robbie, was experiencing. And it wasn't about a battle. It was about a battle that was about to happen. But it was really about this guy that was dying. And everything was slightly unhinged and a little bit surreal and a little bit dreamy.
It works so well. It's amazing shot, but it's amazing storytelling within the film as well. It's incredible. I
mean, for me, the shot came at the end of the movie. So that was the tricky thing. We'd been going 9 weeks, I think, by the time we got to do that shot. So it wasn't as if it came early in the movie where I could have trained and it's like...
You're already sort of beat up by then a little
completely,
bit. Yeah. And it's on the beach, which is. I mean, were you just walking on sand, or did you have something down?
There's part of it that's sand.
Because that's rough.
Yeah, no, I mean, we... The whole first part of it is off the back of a tracking vehicle.
It is, okay. Vehicle. So I was sort of I just watched it again recently. I was trying to figure out. It feels like it, but then I thought maybe I might have seen it. So
no, it's an electric tracking vehicle.
And then you get off of it.
I just step off basically as we come around the back of the barge, the London barge.
Yeah.
We just designed it so that the movement of the truck matched the movement of the shot, so there wasn't a direction change. So
you didn't have to walk on the beach for that long. Which
and then the beach bit is just by the barge and up the ramp. The ramp was probably the hardest. There's on the promenade. There was a concrete ramp,
sort of where the steps are. So there's a ramp that
takes you up from the beach onto the promenade level,
which is probably pretty steep.
And that was quite steep. And there's also sideways. We were kind of going sideways forward.
Yep.
So your hips were at different levels. So
just sounds horrible.
Twisted out of shape. I mean, now all of that is kind of, as I say, the shot almost has a life of its own and its own mythology. I look back now; it's like 20 years ago.
It's wild.
And I kind of think, I've thought often, would we do it any differently now because we have all of the digital cameras that we could do it on, and
it might be longer now, right?
It would be longer,
which maybe it doesn't need to be.
But that's it. The interesting thing is that we're now used to super long shots.
Yeah, that's why I said it's 5 minutes, which is massive. Of course, now people are doing longer shots.
Yeah.
But the thing about most of those longer shots, something like Adolescence aside, which is its own thing or whatever. A lot of times I look at them and I'm like, this is just going because it's going. It's not telling the story anymore. It's just going because they want to, not all the time, but
But it's interesting because with that mythology, I have things recited back to me about it, that are ridiculous, really.
Completely fabricated.
Yeah, and
do you have an example of one of them?
Well, yeah. I mean, the common ones have been the time length is it's like, it's 10 minutes
30
long.
minutes
it's
long.
And I said, no, it's not. It's under 5 minutes because
under
obviously
5. Okay.
just under. Yeah. I think it's 4:58 or something.
So
and the only reason it's 4:58 is because when we were looking at it and timed it out, it was just longer than a regular 400-foot magazine.
That's what I was going to ask. So did they roll down 1,000-footers to 500?
No, well, yes, that's what we did. But we got a magazine that was initially meant for the Panavision, Panastar, I think, that was to
could hold 500.
Could hold 500.
So we did the same thing on a huge shot on ER where they were rolling it down to a 500.
Well, you know it, and you know that it's heavier.
Yeah, it is heavier.
Because it's an old metal alloy.
As
or
a
whatever.
matter of fact, now that you say that, I remember because I could never figure out why that we had to shoot that shot on a 29, which was not what I had wanted to, and I wanted to be wider, but it was because it was the only thing that I could balance out the front to back, and that's because the mag was heavier. That's now I remember it.
Yeah. Yep. So all these little sort of technical details actually added to the mythology of the shot. So
do you remember how many times you did that?
We did 5 takes. We went for a 6th one, and I couldn't get around the course, basically. But it had to be the 3rd take because not from an operating point of view, but basically from Seamus, the DOP, his point of view, the light had gone after there's a magic light.
But it's just not,
there's a magic light to that take number 3. And we did take 4, and Seamus wasn't happy, and he already knew that take 3 was good. So he said to me, "Look, take 3's in the bag. Don't worry."
Meanwhile, you got to do it 3 more times.
And 3 more times. Well, plus also as well that on that day we'd done rehearsals with a fully loaded as well, because we started just with a finder, walking the course, and then so that Joe could see and plan out every element at every point on the course.
The planning of the whole thing must be, it's just hard to comprehend everything that goes on in there.
You know, what happened with the planning was so interesting was that Josh Robertson, our AD, freaked out more than I did when Joe said, "I want to do this as a oneer."
But in a weird way, he almost has a harder job. I mean, maybe not physically, but
absolutely.
I mean, it's incredible.
This is
people.
Also a kind of an example, I guess, of, and it refers to your career as an operator, but it's a career of anybody in the film industry, is to know what your limitations are and to ask for help if need be. And Josh knew he couldn't, he'd not planned anything that scale. And at the time, there's still a legendary AD, Michael Stevenson, working in the business, and Michael had worked on Gandhi. Right, so Josh said, "Let's get Michael in."
He's probably like 1,300,
Well, and the interesting thing is, Michael really didn't work on. He didn't work with a loud hailer, or he had a radio, but he went round he gave every single group of SAs who were doing stuff in the background a number that he would obviously call out when they were coming onto camera.
Okay.
But he would literally go around after every take and talk to them, every single one.
Oh, I love that.
And he would give them a backstory of why they were doing this.
This is great.
And he would, and also at the beginning of the shot, Joe gave a speech to everybody that sort of gave the emotional sort of feeling of what that shot should be. So he gave everybody a kind of a reason and a motivation to be in that shot.
But the other thing that both of those things do, and I do this, I talk about this with students, is I do this with background artists as well, is I think it makes them realize you are just as big a part of this. Like if everything's great and you're on your phone in the background or or whatever it happens to be, you gotta be doing. You've got your little story and you do your thing, and it's all part of the painting.
I mean, Dave, we could do a podcast just on the operator's work with background.
No question.
And it's an interesting thing how you work with the ADs to get the background to do what you want, because it's key to
question about it.
To the flow of the shot.
There's absolutely no question about it, and they can make or break a big. I mean, again, 1,300 background people, one or two people could have destroyed that shot. If they weren't. And so when you're on them, so there's two things that have nothing to do with your operating that I have to ask you about that shot. The white horse being shot. Is it a horse that's trained to fall to the ground?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's a real horse.
Yeah, that's a real horse.
And it didn't get hurt.
I think the only visual effects in that, and I might again,
it's 20 years ago.
Yeah, right. I think is the exit wound of the bullet that you see a small spurt.
Yes, okay.
of blood out. I think that's a visual effect. But
that horse actually fell to the ground.
It went to its knees. They had the captain of the cavalry that's marching up and down the lines. Okay. He fires the pistol.
Yeah.
And it's a starting pistol, and the horse is trained to fall to its knees when it hears it. And they also, I'm not sure, because I know there's animal welfare at stake here and everything. I'm not sure if they didn't have a wire on the reins of the front of the horse, so it pulled its head back.
Because the thing is, I mean, at least it appears like it falls down and goes on its side. I mean, it's alarming when you see it. And you sort of think, like, was there nobody on set? That's amazing. And then the other thing... And
the other thing about that was that Joe didn't want that to feature largely, simply because he didn't want to. It's not about want to focus on it. It just almost incidental. So the whole thing was like, and the other thing, when you go past the horses, just make sure they're edge of frame.
Well, but that was the other thing that I noticed was the white horse that gets shot. You see that, but then he's shooting other horses, but they're almost off frame.
It's off camera,
and so it's an indication of like, oh, this horror is going on more, but you're not showing it.
So this is the interesting thing as well. Because my worry was like, well, I can do that, but I'm framing for the actors. So the actors have to be in the right position.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, we're still on the back of the tracking vehicle at that point,
so
the electric vehicle.
You can't go left or right.
I can't go left or right.
So that's true.
Clive, our poor tracking car driver, was literally sort of like had a finger wag at him and say, you have to get this right at this point. But otherwise, we're going to have to go again.
Yeah, because if you were walking yourself, you go, oh, I could keep that all day.
I just angle myself a little bit more this way or that way. So, that kind of worked for us. But the thing about the operator as well at that point, I often think, when you're moving off or onto something, or there's a subject that is you can't spend too long on, but the audience still have to register it.
Yeah, there's that fine
line
too much
that the operators key in, because you have to think of yourself as the audience for the first time. And quite often you'll do things and a director might say to you, oh, you were on that too long. And I say, yeah, but that's cinema time. There's a difference between real time. We know it's going to happen.
Yep.
And we see it maybe 4 or 5 times, and each time you see it, the director wants to move off it quicker. Yeah. And you go like, have I registered that as a person seeing it for the first time?
And that's the key, because you've seen it 7 times, but it's the first. Yeah. I think the thing I think of when you're talking about that is when you go onto something that has to be read by the audience.
Yes,
there's always that thing
a classic
of like,
example.
You don't want to be too long, too short, but you also don't want to be too long, so you read it like 1.5 times or something like that. That's a good point.
Because there's an example of that in Atonement in the film as well, which is of
reading. You mean
of reading? Yeah, it's a typewriter that writes the key word that is the.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is the 4-letter word, C, beginning, which I won't say, but everyone knows.
Yep. Watch the movie.
How long does it stay on the screen?
And how long do you? Yeah. I'm sure there was a long...
When is it like a shock?
Yeah.
Or when is it just too long?
Yep.
And I mean that actually was done by our second unit, that whole typewriter thing. But something like that, if you were reading something, you need to be kind of informed about the meaning of it within the whole
and actually the other part of that comes into editing is you also have to go, all right, what are the visuals in the cut that are going to lead up to this? So what's going on with the audience? How Are they intent on something? Do they know this is coming, or is this taking them by surprise? Because then you've got to add in that extra second, right? Of like, okay, let's set. Oh, now we're looking. Oh, now that's what this.
And also the
reads.
Operator at that point, I think, is aware of the DOP's side of things, because you could be cutting from a bright scene to a low lit scene.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at that, suddenly it's like coming from outdoors to indoors.
Yep.
I need longer to register something,
to adjust and get back into that world. Yeah, absolutely.
The horses, to go back to the horses, that was the key. About that was, how long do you leave?
How long do you linger on
the white horse being shot, and then sort of ease off. You don't want it to look like, we can't see the rest. So the movement as well off the white horse just has to look like part of the camera tracking sort of thing. So it's that was you say about nervousness. That was one of my little nervous bits in that whole shot.
I can understand that, because there's so many aspects of that you can't control.
And also that you get so far into that shot and they're not going to use that. You got to go back to the beginning again.
Yeah, and it's funny, because I was talking to someone just the other day about how 20 seconds in you can reset, and maybe a minute in, maybe a minute and a half. Do you get 3-4 minutes in, like there could be a tank going through the middle of the set, and you don't want to be the one to stop.
Yeah.
The other thing that I have to tell you that I always notice about the Atonement shot, and I don't know if I'd be interested to see whether other people catch this or not, is there's a shot where it's about halfway through and you're sort of pulling back towards the beach, and there's the Ferris wheel deep in the background, and there's a guy hanging off of the Ferris
stunt guy.
And all I think when I'd see it is nowadays that would just be some digital, but I'm sure it was some stunt guy who was just going around and around. It's crazy. That whole shot is just amazing.
Yeah.
How do you, when you approach a shot like that with that many cues, how do you mentally? That's
an interesting thing, because I kind of think of it as like a shopping list almost. A shot.
Yeah.
Key moments.
This to this to
this to this to this. And obviously mental rehearsal is really important, not just in a shot like that, but generally as an operator. I think learning to mentally rehearse a shot and go through the key points. And if you can, literally, if it's Steadicam or it's handheld, then you also physically rehearse it, move around, get used to, basically your muscle memory. It's really important to be able to do that. But I will actually make a list.
And you just look at it in
and
between
just
each
look
take
at it in between, and then there's a lot of downtime on set. And as an operator, I find myself, that's the time that I can do a lot of, like, rather than go to the craft or get a cup of tea or something, is sitting on the dolly, watch, mentally rehearse what you think is going to happen. And obviously you're observing all the time people doing stuff for the set. So you're kind of going to art department, don't worry about that. That's not going to be in shot. Or can you be careful about putting any sand down there or whatever? Because I'm going to walk. You're just literally from beginning to end, so there's no time you have offset, really, as the operator, because you're doing all of that.
Don Devine, who's an operator in L.A., who's amazing, and I joke about the fact that the hardest part of being an operator is you can't go to the bathroom.
Exactly.
You leave and it's a Western, and you come back 2 minutes later and it's a romantic comedy, and you're like, what changed? Why did everything change?
Say, like, operating's like 10% operating and 90% bladder control.
And the older you get, it's like 99% bladder control. But and so I have to ask you about you did Bohemian Rhapsody, and doing all that, all the concert stuff at the end must have been phenomenal and such a blast.
Yeah, no, it was it was really, really good. It's the best part of the movie, definitely, in terms of camera operating, I think, as a challenge. But,
were you trying to create it shot for shot? I mean, were you being religious?
Well, we did look at a lot of YouTube footage because, of course, it's historical, but it's not. It's not deep history. It's recent history.
And what you did feels exactly like it.
Well, there are some key shots, like, for instance, when Freddie Mercury, a.k.a. Remy Malek, chases the camera operator. The camera operator is on YouTube. You can see that.
So I noticed that when that happened in the movie, I was like, oh, I love the fact that they recreated that. Do you know who that camera operator was?
Who the
real one was in real life?
I don't. But we had there's a guy that works as an SA now, Ray Andrew, who was also an operator on The Shining. Believe it or not, a UK operator that part of the Shining. He now works. I mean, Ray's kind of been around as a SA for years as well, and he turned up on Bohemian Rhapsody. So he started telling everybody about what had happened on the day, on the real.
It was like an actual historian.
So we actually got him a part in the film. So when that's all going on, Live Aid, there's a cut to the vision mixing truck outside. And there's a shot that tracks into the vision mixing, and Ray is the vision mixer on there. So it's great. Like an echo of from the... And also the actual power pod that's in the middle of the stage, which is the remote head sitting at the top, was the actual remote head.
Because that's the one they used for
That's the one they used because it was... I think the first time they'd used on a live event like that a remote head.
Wow.
And that was the one that was used. Although it wasn't working when we shot. We never used it. The idea was to use it, and I can't remember why we didn't in the end, but we got a shot that was from that position.
Put another camera
up there. So
it's such great work. And it has the feeling of it is just so, and it's kind of cool it's kind of cool that movie shone a light on that performance, which is just, I mean, one of the most iconic, live performances of all time. It was interesting.
Initially, we had it broken down into sections of songs, and I can't remember exactly now the sequence that we did. But given that the actors, none of them were real musicians, and so they learnt chords.
They did amazingly.
And Ben, the actor that plays Roger Taylor, I believe, was shown a kind of how you do, a section of Radio Gaga, I think, for instance. And we shot all the way through. He did his bit, and we'd planned, okay, at this point we track into the drums and everything. We stay on the drums. And then we got we thought we'd cut. But then we got word, carry on, like this. Just keep going. Well, no, what happened was Ben just sort of stopped and said, well, I don't know that bit. It's like, I haven't rehearsed it yet.
You kept on shooting and he was like, I'm not with you.
It's like, I'm not Roger Taylor.
That's so funny. But that's great because obviously he convinced them enough that he knew what he was doing.
Well, Roger Taylor coached him, and I think Brian May coached Gwilym
cool.
Lee. They were on set.
So they were involved with you folks.
It's definitely amazing. Brian May was there a lot.
That's so wild.
When we actually reconstructed the making of Bohemian Rhapsody in the studio, Brian May was there.
Wow.
And
I'm sure recollecting on how it actually went down.
And there was the red guitar, the famous Brian May red guitar.
Did he play it all for you?
No, he didn't. And actually, I asked the prop guy, and I said, "Is that the red guitar?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Do you think they'd let that come on set?"
It's very close, but no,
So
that's great.
there was there was a lot of support. For doing that.
That's the cool part of this business, that you get to meet people like that you'd never meet, and these heroes of ours and whatever.
I mean, the thing with, I would say, the difficult thing with all that on stage stuff was that we were using the old 65mm Arri camera on it.
Oh, okay.
So it was all shot 65.
Yeah.
Which is, is a bit of a beast.
It's huge.
We did Steadicam handheld. We did like a mix of everything.
Steadicam with the 65.
So, yeah. In low mode as well at some
than me.
at some stages.
But this is the 65 film.
No, 65 digital. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. Is that the new one?
Not the new. No.
Oh, okay. Because the new one I used, and I was like, "Oh, this is beautiful."
It's like an Alexa.
Oh, yeah. The old one was big. I was thinking 65 film, which is another. But still, that old one was big.
The old one was. It was also wide.
Yeah.
It was oddly balanced.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing with it, because the thing is, coming up through film cameras, you have a different criteria of what is heavy to what
it is true
to what is heavy now.
Yeah. I remember we did. I did a J.J. Abrams thing on that new 65. Is it called the Arri 65? Whatever it's called. And when I went into prep, I glanced over. They were already prepping
double
the
take.
camera. Well, and I was like, I thought we were doing the 65. Like, what changed? No, that's the 65.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonka.
Yeah.
It must have just been a crazy, like being in a carnival all the time. I mean, it just, you look at that movie and with the trained squirrels, and I mean, it must have been wild.
Well, doing musicals is a bit of a gift for an operator, because it's kind of what we're doing anyway, is looking for rhythm and pace and, trying to find a way of choreographing something that is, kinetic and interesting, for an audience. Yeah. So when you have a musical, it's built in, that kind of rhythm and pace, because you have a soundtrack to go to.
So, well, there's almost like there's something narrating what you're doing that you can play off.
You've got something to hang everything on,
Which, of course, when you're working with great actors and great writing, is there in a different way, right? Like, there's the cadence of the words and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, there's, you just kind of follow. You're not having to create an interest yourself.
Yeah. Well, it also felt, watching that, with that production design, you couldn't create a bad frame, right? I mean, just almost, just everything you looked at seemed magical.
Well, the sets were completely three-dimensional. So there was, apart from obviously off the top of them, it was pretty much, you could look in every direction.
That's great.
And not have to think, that looks a bit hokey in that direction. We can't see that. We can't see this. So you weren't limited really in what you could see. Even the the locations that we had, which was Lyme Regis, when Wonka first arrives on the boat, was an amazing set, location set, I should say. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But also as well, I mean, there was a lot of great second unit work in that. Yeah. So we were handing off quite a lot of the dance routines to second unit, the big dance routines where. Which
almost does that sometimes you sort of, does that frustrating because you wanted to shoot it?
I guess so. I mean, we had a really good working relationship. Was Pete Batten was John Sorapur was the DOP, and Pete Batten was the operator, a great operator. Yeah. And so you got to see the something like that as a whole, and if it's good, it makes everyone look good. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's you want a good backup on the second unit, and we had it with that. So
at this point in your career, what's your favorite part of the job?
favorite part of the job.
Is there a favorite part of the job? What makes what excites you?
I know what the unfavorite part.
I didn't ask you that. What excites you about it? Because you've done so much.
Yeah. I think. I mean, I've been lucky, really, because I've had some, a really good working relationships with DOPs and directors that have included me in their collaboration. Mm-hmm. So the exciting part for me is when that happens, and because the start of a job for an operator is not kind of what equipment I'm going to use or anything like that. It's reading the script and kind of looking at what they want to shoot, how their story, how the story goes, what the production's saying, mm-hmm. And how the director and the DOP see that being sort of shot. And at that point, they're giving you lots of references, and it may be other films they've seen. So, I mean, for instance, my big relationship that I have with is with Seamus McGarvey and Joe Wright. And Joe's always very generous with what he's thinking, and he'll give me references, like on the Mussolini project that we've just done. Wasn't just about the type of film. So he was looking at German expressionist cinema and Russian, early Russian cinema. Yep. And then he was also referencing futurism, like an art movement. Cool. So all the angles that they had were Dutch angles mm-hmm. and things. So I had something really to get my teeth into. Yeah. And he was showing, and the same with the music that he was using, because quite often you'll get given that. With Joe, he'll give you a set of cans, and you can listen to it while you're executing the shot, and in key moments of the film. So all that sort of stuff for me as an operator is what's exciting about the job. It gets you kind of, I guess, your juices going. I can really make this work, and I've now got an idea of how it's got to be shot and what tools I'm going to use. Mm-hmm. And I can also feed that down to the crew, my gang behind me, and they feel involved with the project. Yeah. So I think all of that's the exciting side at the beginning of a job. And then obviously going down the line is just seeing it come to fruition. If you can make it happen, and then it's all that good stuff is distilled in amongst all of the kind of hardships of shooting over 8 months or whatever, and all the traveling and all the long hours and all of that. It kind of makes it worthwhile. But if you don't get that backing and that collaboration, it's a long 8 months sitting on set thinking, why are we doing something like this? I could do this much better, or, the team don't feel involved because they're not given a kind of motivation for being for shooting in the way that we do. Yeah. So,
that's great. Well, Pete, this has been fantastic. I feel like I could talk to you for another 3.5 hours, so maybe we'll have to do this again.
Well, we could go to the pub.
Go to the pub. I should do one at the pub, actually. It'd probably be really good for 20 minutes, and then it would start to...
Yes.
Anyway, I want to quickly, again, thank the ACO and CVP for making this possible, for use the space. I'm going to leave you with the question I leave everybody with, and you can sort of take us out with it. Advice for someone getting into the business today on how to succeed, or something maybe that you wish you knew when you were starting out that you now know.
Yeah. It's always difficult because everybody's route into the film business, the more I talk to people, the more I realize it can be completely different.
Yeah.
So I guess this is just a proviso that is my kind of experience and thought. One thing is to look at the long game, because our careers aren't linear. There's many backward steps. I mean, I kind of always give an example of, I think, one of the big shows that I first got was with Seamus McGarvey. He asked for me to operate on Sahara, a film called Sahara, which was a big show, and it was traveling through Morocco, Spain. It was just fantastic. We had all the toys. It's a really good experience. Cut to the week after I get back from shooting there, I'm on a 16-hour pop promo at night, low budget, really sort of having to go some to convince myself I should have taken the job in the first place. So that's what I mean. Your kind of career is not linear, but then that's the way it goes. As going back to the quote about success as going from one failure to another without losing enthusiasm, is you have to see the long game. I think a lot of people look at CVs. Certainly people might look at our CVs, experienced operators, and go, wow, look at all of that they've done. But there's been a lot of downtime in between, and there's been a lot of shitty jobs. Concentrate on the positive relationships that you build and look at. It's coming up through the ranks. I'd look for an operator to look at DOPs and directors who are at the same stage of their career, who don't have long-lasting relationships with other operators or what have you, but who need somebody, and you can identify them as a collaborator and sort of hang your hopes basically on working with them, because that they will, if you have a positive working relationship and they see you as a creative partner, then they'll come back time and time again. And your career could just basically be around one or two really positive relationships, instead of just being part of the gang that gets their CV thrown in to a job, which then becomes a lottery on who gets chosen, So look to develop your own gang, if you like, your own tribe, and see the long game going forward. Also, I'd say develop a second skill or an interest. And if you can make money out of it, all the better. But even if it's just like a hobby that you enjoy, it'll give you a kind of a way to forget what you're doing as your real job. So if it's like a sport or an activity or something that you can completely detach yourself from the worries that you may have about your main career, if you can find a kind of another interest, then that'll give you a sort of perspective on when you do work, whatever it is, whether you do, I don't know, yoga, Pilates, or all those things, or even just enjoy reading a book. You've just got to have another interest so that the job doesn't become the be-all and end-all of everything.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.